Hi everybody, this is a video on setting up your Moodle gradebook. This is a little different than the way I usually do this outline because normally I encourage people only to use the Moodle gradebook if they're also using Moodle assignments and quizzes and other graded activities inside Moodle. But it's April 2020 and we've got a lot of people who are looking at setting up their Moodle gradebook for remote learning who weren't planning on using Moodle when they started the semester. So those are the needs that I'm trying to address foremost, but I think everybody will get the basic principles of setting your gradebook up out of this video. The other thing I should say is that we're currently running Moodle 3.6. If you're watching this at an institution on 3.7 or 3.8, or if you're watching this in the future, hey, you made it to the future. Good for you. Good for all of us. But when we get those upgrades in place, honestly, the Moodle gradebook changes pretty slowly, so I think this will still be mostly relevant. But if you see things that need to be updated, drop us a line, let us know, we can make an update. So here we are in my Moodle course where I haven't done any gradebook setup yet. And what I want to do is come over here to the side under my navigation and just go into grades. And you'll see I just have my class roster and nothing in there. So I want to go over here to the Setup tabs. I'm looking for Grades, Setup. And I want to look at these two buttons down here at the bottom of the screen, Add Grade Item and Add Category. A grade item is just another column in your gradebook. The most common example of this, when people use it a lot, is for a participation grade. Moodle can't grade participation yet. You can change what you want to grade it out of. Maybe I want to grade it out of 100. Maybe I only want to grade it out of 10. And I'm just going to save changes, and you'll see that it's added another line to my gradebook for participation. Let's do one more of those for my in-class midterm, which I assigned and graded in paper before the break. And we hit Save Changes, and now I've got two items in my gradebook. And Moodle is calculating for me, so this one is graded out of 10, this one is graded out of 100. It's assuming this means that I've got 110 points in my class. It's just adding them up and weighting them appropriately. If I don't like that, I can click my little check boxes here, and I can say, actually, participation is 10% of my grade, and the midterm is 90%. Now, I would say don't mess with this until you've got all of your items, or at least all your categories in place, because every time you add something, Moodle is going to helpfully tell you that that it changed and mess with your weights. So don't frustrate yourself by trying to solve that before everything's in place. Then I just click Save Changes to make the change happen. If you want to change that setting, what you do is go to the category level. So we've got this folder for Moodle Introduction is the name of this course. So I can change on the category level by doing Edit and Edit Settings. So this is called Moodle's natural aggregation strategy. That's the name they've given for this approach to calculating grades. There are a couple of options. What most people are looking for is actually called the weighted mean of grades, which is an average where you can set the weight, but it still averages out to be out of 100. So we notice that it changed my course from out of 110 to 100 points. If that's important to you, that's how you change it. You change the aggregation strategy. Okay, through the magic of television, I've added some homework assignments to this class. I'm back in the natural aggregation strategy, so it's assumed that since they're graded out of the same number of points, they're probably worth the same amount of the remaining 10% of this class grade that's left. But maybe I have other plans for homework and I want to deal with it differently. Maybe I just want to clean up my gradebook a little bit so I can tell someone what their homework grade is. And the way to do that would be to add a category with the Add a Category button down here. I just need to give it a name, homework, and I can set any aggregation strategy that I want if for some reason I want this category to be different. And I'm just going to slide down and hit Save Changes. Now to put the homework in the homework category, I need these little up-down arrows. This is how you reorganize your gradebook generally, but it's also how you move things into a category. So it's taken me to this kind of clunky screen where I'm looking for the box that specifies where I want homework 1 to go. I click it there, and homework 1 is now in the homework category. I repeat that with 2 and 3. And when I save changes and go back to my gradebook, you can see that these have been indented and shaded, so I can tell that this is a different category, and I can assign these individual weights. Maybe homework 3 is more important than homeworks 1 and 2, so I might actually give it a higher percentage. I could do that. I could leave them all alone, whatever fits what I need from the homework. And again, I could keep making more categories if I also want to categorize quizzes or a long-term project that has a proposal and a draft and a final that are all contributing to a single project grade. I could do any of that. So we've got our gradebook set up. Let's go ahead and look at what this looks like. We click on View, and when we click on View, we see that it's added our columns for our individual grade items. It's added a column or a section header for all of the homework grades, and total at the end for homework total, and total at the end for the course. So what do I do with this, since none of these things were in Moodle anyway? Well, the answer is I just double-click on the item that I wanted to give. In the box with the solid border, I just type in Jason's grade. If I want to give written feedback, I can write something in there that will also be able to be available to the student. And I just keep going down to keep entering my grades from the paper activity to the Moodle gradebook. When you type in on the gradebook, it shades the cells orange, and that's to let you know that you've done it. For grade items, this doesn't make sense, but you could do this to a category total if there were a compelling reason to do so. Or you could do it for an item like a homework, like a formal Moodle assignment or a quiz, where there's an automatically generated grade, but you're overwriting it in the gradebook. So that's what this orange color is telling you, that it's been overridden here. And we can see that everybody's grade is what they got on the midterm because it's the only thing that I've actually turned grading in. But if I add in some of these other ones, everybody did the homework, everybody gets 10 points. We can see that the grades have adjusted accordingly. Now, Moodle only understands grades as numbers. It only knows how to calculate numerical average. It can't calculate, well, you got a C on the midterm and you did a 10 on the homework. A C and an A doesn't mean anything to Moodle. It can only do math with numbers. But you might not want to display it that way. So how would we deal with that? There are two ways. We go back to setup. For any item or category, you can change how it's displayed. Let's go ahead and change the course grade. And that's just done by opening up this Show More option. And there's a grade display type. And it's set to real, which means the number of points, but you can see I can show it as a percentage. I can show it as the letter grade. I can also show both. That's what these parentheses are telling me. I can show it as the letter grade with the percentage of points behind it. And I can hit Save Changes and do View. And you'll see that I've still got numerical grades for the items that I typed them in for. But I've also got a course total over here that's telling me what the letter grade would be in the course and what percent of points they've got. The other thing that I can do is that if I go into setup and I want to say, you know what, I always grade with letters, I can go to course grade settings and just say, you know what, make them all letters. I still have to type them in as numbers if I want Moodle to calculate my grade at the end, but I can change that for everything at once. Ta-da. Don't know why I didn't do the homework total. I'll have to double check that. Probably means that I was prepping for this video and it found an artifact of that. So those are a couple of things that you can do to get your Moodle gradebook set up. If you're using other Moodle activities, they will drop some of these columns in automatically for you for things like assignments and quizzes. Uh, so depending on what you're doing with your Moodle page, you may see other things on this screen, but it all works along those principles. Please let us know if we can be any help at all. Lots of people call us around the end of every semester to say, hey, can you double check that I've set my gradebook up correctly? It's a nice time for us to check in at the end of the semester, and we are happy to do it. If there are any other questions that you want to look at, maybe something that you saw fly by, as an example, you can drop the lowest homework. You can drop the lowest anything in a category. And we could certainly look at how some of those settings work. If you've got questions about things like extra credit, we can talk about that. Give us a call. We'd be happy to work with you on it. Thanks very much.